So today I'm going to show you how to make a Privy rod without welding. Again, we got Aries with us today. And it's a beautiful, cloudy, rainy day again. So you're going to need a few things. For one, you definitely need a pipe. I haven't decided how long I'm going to do this pipe yet, but this one I just was walking around. I found it in the forest. You want roughly about an inch inside diameter of the pipe. But again, whatever's comfortable around your hands. So I'm going to use this. You need a piece of rod. Ideally you want spring steel, which is usually used in the trunks of cars. So maybe you can go to a scrapyard or something and find one. I found this one in an old car in the forest, which is in my other video of a 1964 Polara, Dodge Polara. So that's what I'm going to use today. You also need, you're going to need a grinder for sure, and ideally a thin cutoff wheel to cut it. And it'd be nice to have a grinding disc, which you don't absolutely, you probably use this one if you really want, but I think it'd be a better idea to use the grinding disc. JB weld, very important. I get the original kind that dries in like 24 hours. You're gonna need drill bits, 2 drill bits in particular, and you're gonna need a drill, obviously. And you really probably want a little bit of oil or WD-40 to spray the bit, which I forgot today, so I'll probably just dip it in water or something, who knows. But anyway, yeah, that's what we're gonna do here. Now I'll show you an example of one I slapped together. This is just an old pipe I found in the garage. It's a little small, but that's all I had to work with really. And then I think this was cold rolled steel I got from Canadian Tire. It's about a 1/4 inch. And it does the job, but the metal does bend a bit. Like originally I made it, I think it was 6 feet, which is too long. It's cut down to 4 feet now. But originally it was 6 feet. This is the other end of it, which I'm actually going to make a little mini probe out of it too. Why not? But yeah, this is the end I put on it, which is part of an air chuck. Well, it is an air chuck. I cut the bottom off and cut the top off and basically glued it on the metal because I was hoping to get a little ridge here to collect a bit of a soil sample when I pull it out. But again, like the rod was too long. It didn't really work too well. So I'm going to have to come up with some better idea for that. But this will get us going here. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting the ends off of this, obviously. And I'm going to measure it down to 5 feet if I have 5 feet there. I think 5 feet's pretty good. And if I want it a bit shorter, I'll just end up trimming the end off and redoing it. Eventually I want to glue some kind of a tip on the end, but for starters, this will get anybody going. You can get creative, figure something out for that. So I'm going to start by trimming that down, and then I'm going to figure out comfortable size for this. Maybe I'll just do like 10 inches long or a foot, I don't know, and then trim it down. If I want to trim it smaller after I put the thing together, I will. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Okay, so I cut the ends off the rod. I couldn't get 5 feet. 5 feet 60 inches. I got 50 and a half, which is not much more than 4 feet, but that's all I got to work with here. So I did that. I decided to do 10 inches for my handle, and then half of 10 is 5, so that's gonna be the center we're gonna drill. I was gonna cut this, but I figured, you know what, it might be easier for me to drill first and then cut it, a bit more stable. If you have a drill press, it's 100 times easier probably, but this is kind of just doing stuff with the basics. So you wanna get a drill bit that is a bit smaller than this rod, about 1/8 smaller, whatever that would be, as long as it's smaller. And this is in particular is like 932 or something, 932, as long as it's a bit smaller, as you can see. So that's what you're going to start with. So about to drill this, I just realized there's a dead coyote in there, or what's left of him. So I don't care, I'm still going to shoot the video here, I don't really care. Anyway, okay, I put my tiny little pilot hole, make it a bit easier to drill. My 932 or whatever it was, which is again just a bit smaller than that rod. And then I'm going to drill all the way through, right through the other side. Okay, so now that I drilled that through, I'm going to drill a bigger drill bit that's the same size as the rod on only one side. I want one of these holes smaller than the other. So I'm just going to do this side here and bore it out a bit more with the same bit size as my rod over here. Well, the biggest one I have here is 3/8 with it, which is 1/8 less than half of an inch. So that looks pretty close. And if it's not quite big enough, I'll just kind of turn it a bit as I drill it in and make it fit. I tried the rod, it doesn't quite fit, so I'm kind of bore out the hole a little bit by bit. And once it fits, I'm good. Bored it out a bit. Could even probably went a bit less, but it's okay. The glue, the JB Weld will hold it all together. So that's the bigger hole. Turn it over. Here's the smaller hole. I think I'm going to change something up because I think I'm going to use the same drill bit here since the rod did not fit through it anyway. Because you want this hole to be a bit smaller than the rod, so the rod, when you're pushing down, doesn't impale you. So that's very, very important, obviously. So I think I'm just going to use the original drill bit I got here. Drill that out a bit more, and then we have to grind down the top of this rod a little bit so it will fit through the smaller hole. So you can leave this hole smaller. It just means you have to grind a bit more off the rod, and I don't feel like grinding more than I have to. So let's get that drilled. Oh man, I tell you, it's hard to hold a camera and do stuff like this. There we go. So you can see it fits through that side, obviously. I just drilled that 932 or whatever on the back, and it doesn't quite fit. So I'm gonna probably grind like a little bit, maybe this far, maybe like half an inch. Have half an inch sticking up probably. So I want to grind that a little bit by bit, see if it fits through the hole from this side. And if it doesn't, grind a bit more, and so on and so on. Okay, so we got the rod in there now. As you can see, I ground on the rod so it fits through that little hole. How do I get it out now? Try to get it out now. Again, I just took the grinder. I couldn't really hold my phone and grind at the same time. I just kept grinding back and forth, spinning it around. If you have a vise or something, that'd be nice, but as you can see, I'm just in the middle of sticks here with the bare minimum. So okay, so now that the rod fits, I'm gonna end up cutting the pipe here, I guess. And anywhere you're gonna put the glue, I keep calling it glue, but the JB Weld, you wanna maybe grind down a little bit, give a clean surface so it can bond to. Same with on this side where the little piece is going to stick up. Do that a bit, and even the rod itself, like obviously it's pretty smooth up here already where the JB Weld's going. I would maybe just do a bit, because I'm going to try to get a bit of JB Weld on the inside of the pipe, so maybe I'll do like a section like that, make it nice and smooth and clean with the grinder. Okay, so I cut the pipe. Not a very good cut at all, but I don't really care. I'll fix that up later. I was cutting it over there, it's hard to cut straight. Anyway, I cut that, I smoothed out a little bit where the JB Weld's gonna go. And the rod I did a bit more. So we're good to, we're gonna have to start gluing it now. Okay, so we're just about ready to mix the JB Weld. But before that, I put the cutting wheel back on the grinder, and I just want to make some little score marks. Like maybe a couple little X's, or nothing too crazy, on each side where the JB Weld's gonna go. Just so it has something to bond to, maybe a little bit better. You probably really don't need to do that, but I'm gonna do that just in case. Okay, so it's time to put the JB Weld on. I'm just gonna leave it here probably for 24 hours and come back and get it another day. But anyway, you need something to stir the JB Weld with. This is just off my safety glasses. It broke off anyway, so I was going to start with that, or a stick, or whatever you got. And you have JB Weld. So you want half and half of each. One of them's the resin, one of them's the hardener. So once you mix the hardener in there, you got to mix it up really good, and you got to be pretty quick. It's kind of like doing Bondo on a car. You got to do it really, really fast. So I'm not going to hold the camera while I mix it. I'm just going to mix it, and then I'm thinking I'm just going to dip this in it, the end that's going into the rod, stick it in there, and then grab some of this JB Weld and smear it on the outside and on the bottom. And maybe if I can get some like just inside of it, it doesn't have to be pretty on the inside, but just slap it in there a bit. Okay, so I didn't really go too crazy. I just kind of tried to rough it up a little bit. They're not very deep score marks, but I put a couple all over there, a couple here, a little crisscross X pattern, whatever. I started doing a little bit on the tip. Right on the very tip that's going to stick out, I did like a couple score marks. You probably do a lot better than that. I just zip, 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 zip. No big deal. Okay, so now we're going to mix the JB Weld. Okay, so like I said, I mixed it really quick. Dipped the rod in it, stuck it through the hole in place, slapped some of this crap on here and here. I tried to get some on the inside of the pipe, but I couldn't even reach. I didn't get much on the inside, but I don't think I had to worry. So yeah, slapped it there, I flipped the thing around, and I kind of coated it all around there. It looks really messy right now. I'm going to grind that down later. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let it dry for 24 hours. And then probably put a little bit of a point or a tip on that so it goes through the ground a bit easier. And get a grinder and just grind this down a bit, smooth it out, make it look nice, and maybe if you care enough you could paint it, smooth down the sides. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So once that dries, I have all kinds of places I want to check out. I have a few up my sleeve here for my next videos. And I already started digging one that I'm pretty sure is a Privy pit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So good luck.